Hey YouTube, it's Chuck. Good morning. Well, it's cell day. We're in a little bit of a rush because I just pulled these out of the hive and I need to talk you through what I'm gonna have to do now to get these cells into the mating nukes and a few little tips about what you need to do after you pull them out of the finisher, depending on how much time it is until you get into the mating nukes. I'm gonna go ahead and set these aside so they need to hang vertically. There's queens in here and they need to hang vertically. So I'm gonna stand it up out of the way so I don't bump it and it's standing vertically. An incubator. I want to talk you through a little bit of that. I have this little chicken egg incubator that I got at Tractor Supply. You can get these cheap anywhere. They're not very expensive. I have a little cup of water in here to maintain humidity, and it's set to 93 degrees. That is about where I keep these cells warm while I'm waiting on them. Today is the day they got capped. Tomorrow and for the next 3 days, based on when I graft on the 11th, we are in a sensitive stage. You cannot disturb those cells in those 3 days. You really shouldn't even open a nuke to peek in there. Just leave them alone because basically their wings are forming, the queen's wings are forming, and during those 3 days, if you bump the larva while the queen's wings are turning into a pupa and the wings are developing, she won't come out healthy. So I took the cells out today when they're capped before tomorrow's sensitive stage, and I am going to put them into the nucleuses based on my own timing situation when I'm available to do this before the sensitive stage, and just going to leave them in there. Now there's one downside to putting in a queen cell too early. If it doesn't hatch right away, there's a chance that the hive could break it down and make their own queen. You don't want that to happen if you're queen rearing with your own genetic stock. You want to ensure that that queen hatches. Now, I made those nukes behind you yesterday. They're probably already starting to make queen cells, but guess what? These queen cells I have here are gonna hatch first. So even if they do make queen cells, we need our queen to successfully hatch first so she can go out, and if you haven't already removed them, she will win the fight and knock down those other cells. That's the critical point here. Now, because I'm putting a cell in now in these nukes, I don't want a naked cell, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, to be next to other ones they're making, because then the hive may choose which cells to keep. And that's where we get into cell protectors. I am going to install these queen cells today with cell protectors so that the queen will be protected from being chewed in from the sides, which is the way they kill a cell. These are just simple little top bar cell protectors, and there's another style that has little forks, and basically you put the queen cell in here, and I'm going to demonstrate that here a little bit for you, but there's two different styles, and I wanted to talk about the styles and which is better. I'm going to come in a little bit closer. Do you see the length of the forks? This fork is too long to go into foundation with plastic. If it's naturally drawn comb, it'll go in there just fine. So these forks are too long for me. I prefer this style because they can sit on top or they can wedge into the side of the comb, which we'll demonstrate later, pretty well. So since I bought a bag of these long ones, I've just gone ahead and taken my snips and I've cut them. Just as an example, just take some snips and cut them to about the same size as those other ones. And then when you have them just like that, that'll squeeze into the side of the cell just fine. So easy to do if you buy the wrong ones, or if you want to buy this and be able to use it in either natural comb or the other one. But the point is this will protect the cup just fine. It's just a matter of having the cups that you like. Now, these are my little homemade 3D printed cell bars. Since I'm not going to incubate these until they hatch, but I've also 3D printed these little stands where these little sit in here, so my queens will stand vertically. And that's the important part here also. And I can take an entire tray here and I can put it in my incubator with the water, and they're standing vertically, they're protected, they're not gonna fall over, and they're ready basically to put into the nucleus colonies. And that's where I wanted to get us to next, is go ahead and getting these cells into these little protectors here, and incubating, staying warm while I get ready to do the nucleus installation of the cells. You got a few minutes, even a few hours, depending on the day and the weather, but the cells need to stay at the right temperature. So I'm not gonna delay any further, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you how we do this. All right, so here we have these beautiful cells. I'm really, really happy with the way the ones that did take turned out. I am not happy with these cell bar ends. And the reason is, every time I go to set this on something, if it has to stand on the ends, and these cells are at risk. So I would prefer, and I'm going to make my own cell bars that have a protective bottom so I could set it on something. You can see if I set this on the edge here, it would crush those cells. So I'm not very happy with that. I'm doing everything I can to continue and leave this vertical so I don't dislodge anything. And basically you just need to take these cell bars off one at a time as carefully as you can, looking in there and inspecting. And this is, I don't know if you can see it, but this cell cup is full of royal jelly. That is exactly what you need. I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate this one. And here is in the cell bar cup, and all I'm doing is putting that JZBZ cup in there, and that cell is nice and protected. And then now she's hanging vertically inside of my little printed cage there. So we're just gonna do this for a few more. I'm gonna show you in this other size. See, that's a little bit shorter. Inspecting the jelly. The jelly looks really good and full in this one. Setting this in there. Now, in this one, you might notice the wax is kind of filling it up a little bit. You could push down a little bit, not too far, but that wax in the side is protected, which is the important part. And she can hatch right out of the bottom of there. Let me go ahead and take one off the bottom here and show you these taller ones again. A little shorter cell, royal jelly's full. Yeah, the longer ones fit better on most of these cells. I'm not sure why. Probably a little bit wider dimension. Let me see if this one fits any better. Yeah, these are the smaller ones are definitely tighter, but as long as you can get that plastic in there and get them down to the side, she can't get hurt. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do this without talking so you can watch me go ahead and finish up, and then we'll get these ladies in the incubator. Okay, I have finished these up. I've got all 18 in here. The cell bars are done, and I'm putting them into the incubator. Nice and moist and humid, and right now it says it's about 65 degrees and it's 93. I'll just take a picture of this for you guys to have a visualization of what I've got right here. And one other point worth noticing is I've got the dates on here. With one graph date in here, I can keep track of when these ladies will hatch. If I was gonna wait on them to turn into virgins, I know they're gonna hatch here on the 23rd. So that's how I take the cells out of the finisher, put them into cell protectors, because I'm putting them in the nucleuses in order to hatch in a few days after the sensitive period. If I was pulling these out the day before hatch, you could probably just throw a cell straight in there without the protectors just fine. But because they're gonna be in there a few days, these nucleuses might be making their own queen cells. I wanted to protect them. And then I'll take this, I'll leave them in here till I go straight there. If you're going out to an out yard, it might be smart to have an inverter to power this in your car or something if they're gonna be in there a long time. It is important to keep these at the right temperature until they're installed in the hive. Okay, next step, stick with me. We're gonna go out in the apiary and we're gonna install some cells. Hang around. All right, YouTube, we're back. Here's all the nucleuses. I've pulled out the exact number of cells I have for this apiary. I'm just gonna start and go down the line and describe maybe the first couple, and then I will just speed it up for you. Okay, you want the cell to be near the brood that is hatching. So the nurse bees will pay the best attention to it. Let me demonstrate one of these smaller ones here. So basically you're just taking that fork, smushing it into the wax with those forks into next to the brood. And then gently putting it back in there so you don't bump it with the adjacent frame when you put it in, and then tighten it up. That is all. Now these will need to get fed a little bit later, but that doesn't have anything to do with getting the queens in there. Let me show you on one of these 3-framers. All this capped brood we put in here yesterday is going to hatch out over the next couple of days to help take care and grow these colonies. So while they may look small at the moment, there's plenty of bees and capped brood in here. This frame of capped brood will turn into 2 frames of brood. Let me show you one with this other style, the longer one. See how you just stake it there and smush it in right next to the brood. And that she will hatch straight down there, and she is protected. Just when you stick it back in, make sure you don't bump it or twist it to the side maybe, so you don't, those forks don't catch the other side of the frame depending on how big your nuc is. See, because if you pull it back out, this is one small issue, is you don't want to damage the cell when you pull it out. All right, that fit a little bit better. All right, let me finish these up. We'll speed it up for you. If you notice on this, this was my starter colony, and the number of bees that are here far outweighs these other nucleus colonies. These are all bees without a queen, so this is also a good candidate for a shake into some of these smaller ones. So I'm just going to take this end frame with all these bees on it and give that a boost. All right, YouTube, we're done. I want to see if you noticed something during the end of that video. I wasn't wearing gloves. I was trying to be gentle with those queen cells. And I got stung a few times there on those last 3 nucleus colonies. That's an interesting thing I want you to notice. I didn't get stung one time on these small 3-framers. On those back 3 nucleus colonies, I got stung. It's because they're stronger. They're queenless. These little guys are queenless too, but they're so small and so weak, they haven't promoted any of the bees up to defender bees. So that wasn't a bad thing. They're a queenless hive, but because they're 5-framers, they're stronger. They have the division of labor to create defender bees even in their queenless nucleus colony state in the mating nucs. But anyway, we got 13 of them done. Now I'll just make sure I feed them and write the dates on each of the hives, but I don't need you to watch me do that. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys think about this format. Should I change anything? Are you appreciating the videos? Anyway, I enjoy doing them either way, so they're going to keep coming. Appreciate you watching. Have a great day.